Did the sexual revolution really deliver on its promises? Picture a time of supposed liberation, a time when the promise of increased happiness, more and better quality sex, and improved relationships due to sexual experience was on everyone's lips. It was a time when men and women were told that without the constraints of the patriarchy, they would be free to explore their sexuality and in doing so, find a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. These were the promises made during the sexual revolution, a revolution that was supposed to be a turning point in our collective history. But fast forward 60 years later, and what do we see? A landscape where these promises seem to have been unfulfilled. Happiness levels have not soared. Instead, they've remained stable for men and plunged for women. Sexuality has not blossomed into a glorious new era. Instead, it's fallen into a pattern of less frequency and quality. So let's take a journey back to the sexual revolution and see how things have unfolded. The reality after the sexual revolution is a far cry from its promises. We were told that if men and women were left to their own devices, without the supervision of the patriarchy, they would be happier, have more sex, and enjoy better quality sex. But has this really been the case? Let's take a look at happiness levels. Men's happiness has remained relatively stable post-revolution, but the story is different for women. Women's happiness has taken a significant nosedive. This is a stark contrast to the promises of increased joy and satisfaction that the revolution heralded. Now let's turn our attention to the bedroom. We were told that sexual freedom would lead to more frequent and better quality sex. Yet the reality is that young people today are having far less sex than their counterparts did 60 years ago. Not only is sex less frequent, but its quality has also seen a drastic decline. This is especially true for women who report much lower levels of sexual satisfaction. This drop in sexual satisfaction among women can be largely attributed to the rise of the hookup culture, an outcome of the revolution that women have embraced, even though it contradicts their innate sexual strategies. It's quite puzzling, isn't it? Women encourage each other to be promiscuous, engaging in casual sex at clubs, on girls' trips, and at bachelorette parties, even when most of them don't find casual sex enjoyable. In fact, many women need to be intoxicated to engage in casual sex, a clear indication that deep down, they don't want to do it. It's as if some women are promoting promiscuity among their friends to reduce mating competition, despite knowing full well that men generally don't value promiscuity in a partner. Furthermore, both men and women who have had numerous sexual partners often report being unhappier in their relationships, particularly women. It's quite telling that women with many sexual partners report lower levels of sexual satisfaction once in a relationship. It seems the promises of the sexual revolution have not brought about the desired outcomes. The reality post-revolution is one of decreased happiness, less frequent sex, and lower quality sex. The question then becomes, where do we go from here? The hookup culture is one of the outcomes of the sexual revolution, but has it really benefited women? A question that leads us down a path of fascinating and somewhat disconcerting revelations. The hookup culture in theory represents freedom and autonomy, yet in practice it often results in dissatisfaction and regret, particularly for women. Despite their active participation, women frequently report lower levels of sexual satisfaction within this culture. The reasons for this are multifaceted and deeply rooted in our biology and societal norms. A significant aspect of this culture is the common practice of intoxication before engaging in casual sex. It's not a phenomenon that can be brushed aside as mere coincidence. It signifies a deep-seated discomfort with the act itself. Women often resort to alcohol or other substances as a means to lower inhibitions, to make the casual encounter more bearable. But isn't sex supposed to be an act of pleasure, not something one needs to endure? This discomfort stems from the very nature of the hookup culture, which is contrary to the inherent mating strategy of women. While men can potentially increase their reproductive success by having multiple partners, women, on the other hand, do not benefit in the same way. This fundamental biological difference plays a significant role in the disparity of satisfaction levels within the hookup culture. Moreover, the culture encourages women to be promiscuous, even though it's not in their best interest. Women urging each other to engage in casual sex, going to clubs, planning girl trips, or bachelorette parties centered around hookups, all under the banner of liberation. But if the freedom to choose leads to choices that result in discomfort and regret, is it really liberation? Relationships, too, bear the brunt of this culture. Studies indicate that both men and women with numerous sexual partners tend to be less happy in relationships. This is particularly true for women, who also report lower levels of sexual satisfaction once in a committed relationship. The hookup culture, it seems, is another failed promise of the sexual revolution. Is it possible that the feminist lie has led to the decline in female happiness? Let's dive into this thought. In the aftermath of the sexual revolution, there was a shift in societal expectations. Women were encouraged, even pressured, to focus on their careers, to pursue ambition and independence, and to delay or even forego traditional roles of family and motherhood. This shift was touted as a path to liberation, a route to equality, and a promise of happiness. But let's take a look at the reality. Today, a shocking 20% of American women between the ages of 40 and 59, and 25% of women above the age of 60, are on antidepressants. Is this the promised happiness? Is this liberation? The narrative that a career-focused life provides long-term satisfaction has proved to be a fallacy for many. There are countless tales of women who, having reached the peak of their careers, look back with regret on the sacrifices they made, the life milestones they missed, and the family moments they traded for boardroom meetings and late-night work sessions. Yet, this narrative continues to be propagated. Older women, who themselves might be grappling with regret, are still advising the younger generation to follow the same path. It's as if we're stuck in a vicious cycle, unable to break free from the lie that has been woven into the fabric of our society. But all hope is not lost. There's a path to true happiness, and it may lie in embracing the very values that were once vilified: family, children, community, faith, and patriotism. These are not shackles of oppression, but pillars of fulfillment. They provide a sense of belonging, a purpose that goes beyond the self, and a satisfaction that money or career success can never match. In a world where short-term pleasure and immediate gratification are king, choosing to invest in these long-term sources of fulfillment requires courage and perhaps a bit of wisdom. It's time for us to live our true selves, to make choices that resonate with our innate desires and not societal pressures. Embracing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure may be the key to reclaiming the happiness promised by the sexual revolution. Make your choice wisely.